detail and care that had been taken in this palace when she reached the top of the stairs and the fairies took her to the bedroom where Thalia lay. Thalia lay in her large oak wood bed with soft cotton sheets and a blanket of the softest wool all laid over her. The king's sister could instantly see how beautiful she was, with her golden hair flowing like a river of honey around her shoulders, and her soft, pale skin so delicate and clear. Thalia's hands lay on top of the soft woolen blanket, and the fairies showed the king's sister where the small thorn was still in her finger and wrapped around it. The king's sister said Thalia would make the perfect bride and queen for her brother, and the perfect sister for her, but that once they had woken her, they must be gentle with her, and it would be her own heart that decided what would happen next. The fairies said a few magic words, quietly and in whispers, so the king's sister wouldn't be able to know them. And then they took the thorn from Thalia's finger. When Thalia opened her eyes, the king's sister thought she was even more beautiful. Her eyes were the purest green, like the colour of fresh rosemary, and when she spoke, her voice was as rich as the song of the turtle dove. The king's sister explained slowly and gently to Thalia what had happened and who they were. She took the young woman's soft and delicate hands in hers, and she said she would be honoured to have her as a sister, but it was for Thalia to choose her own future. Thalia took a few long and open moments to think about this. She took deep breaths into her body and let them out again slowly and fully. Her long sleep had made her heavy, and she could feel her body slow with no hurry in her at all. Thalia agreed to meet the king, and while the king's sister went back to the castle to get him, the fairies stayed with Thalia. They sang sweet lullabies together, and they played games. The fairies brought Thalia hot and sweet tea, with a spoonful of thick honey stirred into it. And by the time the king's sister returned with the king, Thalia and the fairies were once again tired and sitting together in the day room on a long and soft sofa. The king was overcome with joy when he saw Thalia awake and sitting with the fairies. He agreed that she was even more beautiful now he could see her green eyes and hear her soothing voice. The king fell to his knees in front of her and said he would take her back to the castle if she would agree to be his wife and his queen. Thalia smiled her most radiant smile that lit up the air around them like the midday sun. She told the king there was no rush, no hurry. She said they could spend their days becoming friends, walking through the forest, playing with the fairies, and dozing off in the palace when they grew tired. She said she may marry him, but it would take time. She asked the king if he was willing to find a slower pace and take some time. The king took her hands in his and kissed the place where the thorn had curled itself around her finger. He said she was not only beautiful, but wise too, and he longed to find their friendship and a blossoming of love between them. Talia, the king's sister, and the fairies all returned to the castle. The king ordered a great feast to celebrate the beginning of his friendship with Talia. The fairies flew on a gentle breeze to collect Talia's mother and father and tell them all that had happened. When Talia's mother and father arrived at the castle, they were overjoyed, and they thanked the king and his sister for waking their beautiful daughter. When they asked for the cause of Talia's long and deep sleep, they were amazed to find it was a rose thorn. They had never thought such a beautiful plant could be the prickle they had been told about when Talia was born. The fairies revealed that they still had the thorn, and they showed it to everyone so all could see how it had curled around Talia's finger, wedding her to sleep. The king ordered a bonfire to be built in the grounds outside the castle, and when its warmth could be felt from 10 paces away, he took the thorn and let it fly onto the fire. They each warmed their hands at the warmth, and they could feel themselves become sleepy. The king declared that Talia was no longer married to her sleep, and she was free to nap and doze whenever and wherever she liked. He hoped too that one day she would instead be married to him. Talia smiled at the king and said she may, with patience and time. Talia and the king spent 3 years allowing their friendship to grow inside them like the jasmine grew in their gardens. After that time, Talia said she wanted to marry the king, and she became his queen. The palace in the forest was gifted to the fairies who had saved Talia from the long sleep. Talia's mother and father, happy to see the palace inhabited now by such playful creatures. And in Talia and the king's garden there were no rose bushes, only toadstools for the fairies, and a herb garden for Talia and her new sister to pick from. Inside the palace in the forest, the fairies would tire from their play, and they would go up to the wide oak bed where Talia had once slept. They would remember her beauty when she lay there, and they would fall into deep sleeps on the soft woolen blanket. In the castle, Talia and the king would return from riding through the forest to visit the fairies, and they would sit together by an open fire. They would doze and curl up together in soft slumber. The sleeping beauty was still there, the king would think, just as lovely as ever, with her long golden hair around her shoulders like syrup, and her pale and soft skin. As they both closed their eyes and fell soundly asleep, their love bloomed, and they knew that tomorrow they would wake and feel their happiness was greater than ever.